Today we're going to make a really simple pamphlet stitched journal for our Advent challenge, and I'm going to show you how to do that step by step. These are the materials and tools that you'll need. To start with, I'll give you the simplest version, which is just with some pages added. After that, I'll show you how to add some envelopes. To keep this really simple, I'm using 8 sheets of A4, and I've chosen 7 sheets of plain cream paper. It's quite stiff paper, good quality, and then 1 sheet that's slightly thicker. To start, fold our sheets of A4 paper and card in half. You can add more sheets if you want, but I'm keeping it really simple today just to show you the process. So fold them in half. I am using a bone folder, but this is optional, and that makes the crease nice and crisp. We're going to do that with every single piece. So we have all of our pieces of paper and card folded now, and I'm going to sit those all together. This is going to be my signature. So the pages and the slightly thicker piece of card, which is a little bit textured as well, which is quite nice. That is going to be my cover. I'm going to pop my signature into my cover so that it fits snugly in the middle like that. Now, to make this so that it doesn't move around while you're poking your holes in it, you can use something like a paper clip or a binder clip to hold it in place, and that will then stop it from slipping around. Then we're going to make our template before we poke our holes in it. Take a piece of paper the same height as your book and fold it in half like that. And then we're going to fold one side into the middle like that. The other side into the middle like that. And then we're going to fold it in half lengthways like that. And then this, where the folds intersect, you take a pen and you just make yourself a little mark where each of those folds intersect, and that's where we're going to make our holes in our book. So if we take our book that we've made, we've got our little paper clip in place there. I'm just going to remove that, and I'm going to put my template in there and then pop my paper clip in like that. And we're going to put that on top of our soft cushioned surface, like our old mouse mat or packaging, something like that. Then I'm going to take my pokey tool and I'm going to push that into the mark that I've made. And I'm going to do that with all 3, as long as it's gone all the way through, and obviously you want to avoid going all the way through to your work surface. I've got a plastic protector on mine, so it's okay. So there we've made the holes and it's gone all the way through to the outside, and that's in a nice position, although that one's slightly off centre. That's not too bad. So now we've got the holes for the pamphlet stitch. So I can remove my template and I'll get my needle with my baker's twine on. I've cut a piece approximately 3 times the height of my book, and I'm going to use that to pamphlet stitch this book. Now if you want to, you can do it one of 2 ways. So this way I'm going to show you. I'm going to start on the inside of the book. I'm going to go from the inside of the book, the middle hole, and I'm going to take my needle and thread through to the outside, and I'm going to leave myself a little tail because I'm going to use that for tying a knot at the end. Then I'm going to go up to the top hole and I'm going to push that through and then pull that tight, and then I'm going to go out through the bottom hole and pull that tight again, and then I'm going to go back in through the middle hole and pull that tight. Make sure that one of your tails is to one side of the thread that's in the middle and the other one is to the other side. You can then tie a knot like that and double knot it. Make sure it's really nice and tight, and you can then cut your threads off to whatever length you want like that. Now, if you want to use your thread as a tie, you start the other way. So you'd put your needle in, you'd start from the middle hole, but from the outside, so that your tails are on this side. And that will leave you with some thread that you can potentially tie around the outside of your book. Now this one here is done with 5 stitches, but it's exactly the same process. It's just using an extra stitch each side. And with this one, I started on the outside my book and I added some extra twine, and I used some slightly thicker twine so that when I was finished I knotted it on the outside, and then I can use that to tie around my book, and that's a natural closure. So you can do it either way, outside or inside. This one here you can then hide if you want, or just leave it as it is. But when it's on the outside, it's quite handy because you can add little beads and things like that, which can make it look quite sweet. And of course, you can use it as a tie closure so that when it gets nice and fat and full of your bits and bobs, you can keep it nice and closed.
You want to add an envelope to the middle of your book. This will hide the stitches and the tail. Then you can pop that in your book and punch the holes in the fold of the flap of the envelope, and then when you have stitched that in, you can then fold the flap closed, and that will hide the tail and these stitches in the middle. You can then cut open your envelope at the top or at the side, depending on whereabouts you want your pocket to be.
So that's basically how to make a really easy 3-hole pamphlet stitch journal with a slightly thicker cover and enough pages for us to fill with goodies for our Advent challenge.